welcome to my review of the Aristocats in 1970. This film is the 20th Disney animated feature film, and it's directed by Wolfgang Reitherman. Now, this is the film, of course, that began, the Disney Dark Age, and which lasted from 1970 to 1988. That is a long time, and most people say this is the worst age. I would probably say, really, overall, the post-Renaissance could be worse. Actually, for me, but this one, it's not great. I don't think. But yes, this one done well at the box office still. But yeah, critically, it's it's strong. I would say from what I've seen, it's Roger Ebert would give it 3 out of 4, so it's not bad there. But yes, most people don't regard this massively high. There are its followers, has its followers, out there. But really, in 1970 and just after The Jungle Book, of course, that was the previous Disney film. And what a great film that is. This film, not so much. I don't think, I really watched it, maybe, twice as a kid I watched it. But I don't have really fond memories of it at all. And it's not been a one that, I've kind of held in high regard at all. This one, it's not massively popular, as I say. And for me, it's a really bad film. And that's a real shame. A Disney film that is really bad, the official Disney's. I think this is one of the worst Disney films of all time, from what I've seen, and it is just really, really annoying. The characters as well and everything, I'll get into that, but the opening credits, just so annoying, the song. That really set the tone of the film, and you've got the cats the way they're in the credits as well. It's just really random. The film, the basic plot is these kind of cats in France, in Paris, living among these this posh family, upper class, and there's something to do with a will where the old woman is kind of elderly woman is trying to basically pass on the stuff to the cats, and there's a man and her partner basically tries to kidnap the cats, and eventually in a scheme to kind of get the fortune, and that is the plot, and then he drops them somewhere by accident, and basically it's a journey back to the house. That is really it. It's an adventure film, and as well, it's basically a romance film, and yeah, just you could say it's attempted to be a family film. There's 3 small cats in the film, kittens, basically, and you've got the main the mother of them as well, and as well they come into the contact with an alley cat, and as well another cat, a bunch of cats when they get back to the city. One of them is voiced by Scatman Crothers. Now, this film, it is, for me, to sum it up, as annoying, boring, and just very bizarre, really random film. Now, it starts off with just quite a lot of boring scenes, but at least it has some sort of development, there, and somewhat of a charm. But really, the human characters in this film are all annoying. They're doing things that are just so annoying and bizarre, and just pointless. There's no characters that develop well at all, as of the humans, and just really, really annoying, and I just didn't connect with anything straight away. In the film. Then once they get kind of dropped off, you've got kind of maybe a couple of peaks, best parts of the film, which still aren't good. And then you've got also lows that follow, so it kind of gets worse at the same time as, at times getting better. When they, once they get left behind and stuff, there's 1 or 2 moments early on where they're in the basket, which is kind of touching. But really, apart from after that, it becomes a bore fest of a film, adventure film that really just is just so unenjoyable for me. It's so annoying as well. I really get annoyed by these these characters. As well, they're not really interesting characters. They're all boring. I think that kind of approach here was just, for me anyway. And, as always, this is just my opinion. I really am not a fan of this film. I hate it. But of course, it is fairly popular, so nothing to do, no offence meant, but really this film is a bad film for me. And basically, it is a bore fest, and the characters, are just not interesting. The writing is just really, really poor throughout, and there's a loads of sequences as well involving side characters and everything. There's 2 dogs, that just I just thought, when is this going to end? This is not important, and it's just really boring and kind of annoying and repetitive, and it's just really, really boring and tiresome, and there's nothing that compels me at all. I think this is one of the worst animated films I've seen, actually. And yes, it's quite popular, but for me, it is really bad. It's kind of the approach I was saying. It's just basically for me, from what I see, it's just they thought it would be good to have cute cats, and that would be all. Everyone would care about these characters because they're cute. And actually, the animation is not great in this film. For me, it's not actually that good by Disney standards. I kind of reviewed Sword and Stone, and I thought the animation wasn't great in that. At times it was a bit flat, but in this film, it is a lot worse. It looks a bit dirty at times, and just quite dull, and just nothing really that has much charm to the animation. It's just kind of a bit generic, and bland and flat. And yes, basically, yeah, it's just these cats aren't that cute, but really, even still, if they were, that's not what you do. I can't get invested if it's just that. These characters have got no development really at all. They're very, very one note. They're annoying. The script, the songs, and just the things they do in the film, combined with the way it's kind of put together, the kind of the zooms, the close-ups and all this kind of thing, just really, really annoy me. And the voice acting is not great, especially the female kitten. I can't remember the name of the character, but the voice acting there was atrocious. Really, Phil Harris is the only one to praise, but unfortunately, his his character is not that great of the alley cat, and they meet this alley cat, and basically, the mother forms a romance with him, and there's one scene, when they get back to the city, it is okay in terms of that, but the rest of it, is not a good romance, not well developed, boring once again, and just kind of forced at times as well. This film just keeps going and going, and it just really, for me, very, very boring. It's not got the charm of most Disney films, even The Sword and Stone, which I didn't think was a great film at all. I thought it was average, but it had its charms, and it has the kind of a bit of wonder to it as well. This one had none of that really, and yeah, just considering this is a whole film really of animals, centered on them. They're usually the ones that are the most charming Disney films. The ones that you can kind of relate to a bit more. They're easier to love, you could say. But in this film, it's really hard to even like for me. And I'll kind of wrap up very soon. But for me, this is one of the worst Disney films. Certainly, it really I can see why this began the Dark Age. It just really is a very, very bad film. And I just didn't connect really to any of the characters. I thought the sequences were drawn out and they didn't have any substance really. Most of them. There is some human moments and touching stuff here and there. Mainly in the first half of the film, and just there's maybe a decent ending as well. With the last 5 minutes, it's kind of nice, but really overall, it is a really bad film for me. So overall, I think I'd have to give the Aristocats a 29%. Wow, yeah, not good for me. Edges into the very bad mark for me. And this is not going to be a popular opinion, but I really think it's one of the worst Disney films, official Disney's ever made. It's a real shame, this film could have been quite good. I mean, it's nothing really on paper that interests me too much, but it could have been good. It didn't really have the energy either, the adventure spirit that a film like this requires. It was kind of just dead and lifeless a lot of the time. There was no drama, there was no tension really as well. It was just very, very breezy in the wrong way, and the adventure just goes on, and when they get back to the city, you're greeted with these bizarre songs with these other cats, and that's basically some mental stuff there, and they try and go for some good stuff with the colours, the flashing colours, and all that kind of stuff, and it's not actually a good sequence for me. It just is mental and boring, and overall, this film is just. It is a really bad film, I think it's quite stupid at times. I didn't connect with the main narrative really. It's an adventure film without the spirit, the energy and the charm. It's not got good animation really for me. Not awful animation, that's why it's not, lower and you know, it has got a couple of human moments here and there, but really, you know, this really fails for me on most levels. You know, it bores me, it annoys me massively. These characters are very, very annoying. They're poorly developed, and the voice acting overall is not great. Phil Harris, you know, decent, but really the actual character that he plays of the Alley Cat is just another boring character that's, you know, quite annoying, and this whole romance doesn't really work for me at all. There's just one scene where it's okay, but it's more just kind of pleasant than actually something I connected to. And yeah, you've got a decent ending. End in 5 minutes, it's okay. But really, this film, you know, it's got so many annoying moments. The comedy just doesn't work for me overall. You just got bizarre characters, the humans especially, and just kind of do things that are mental and kind of, yeah, annoying. This film is so annoying. I really hated it actually. It's hard for me to hate a Disney film, especially one that's you know, focused more on the animals. These are the ones, you know, that I tend to be more of my favourites. Just so happen to be not just because it's animals, you know. It just and just it's very, very easy to relate to, you know, more you know, than a lot of the other stuff. But really, despite all that, this really is a film I hate, and I thought the voice acting was awful for the most part. The character's boring, generic, and all annoying really for the most part. And it just goes on, and comes to a very generic conclusion, but it's okay, the ending, you know, because it's not as mental and in your face, and it kind of yeah, it does wrap up the story, but it's very, very unfocused, this film, very random at times, and a bore fest of annoyance. So there we have it. You know, another film that I really hated. A couple of films recently, you know, I've not liked at all, including The Nutty Professor. But yes, I'll get back to maybe some more better films very, very soon. But anyway, don't really recommend this, but check it out. See what you think. I don't like it, but of course, respect to everyone that does like it, because it is, you know, fairly popular and just not for me. Everyone, you know, it's just not for me. This film, I just didn't like it at all. I hated it. But anyway, thanks for watching my review.